My humble pranams, salutations at the divine lotus feet of our Bhagavan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Sairam all of you. Good evening. Welcome to our 3-day yoga retreat. It sounds like a treat for all of us. I'm sure everybody is very eager to have experienced these 3 days. I am. For most of us, I guess in this modern age, yoga seems to be like an exercise. But once there may be few that go beyond that point, then they'll start enjoying the sweetness and taste of yoga, what it is. So it's not just limited to physical exercise. It's not even limited to just mind and body. We do know, those who are into yoga, that it's union of body, mind and spirit. But there is much more to that. I think today we are so fortunate to have someone among us, amidst us, that he went to the core of that. So I'm really feel that we are very fortunate to be here today with him, that is Dr. Sunder Iyer. So I welcome Dr. Sunder Iyer and his lovely wife Maya, and in-laws of Sunder Iyer. They're all here. I'm so glad you are all with us. And all of you, I'm sure you feel the same way. So I welcome all of you for this yoga retreat. And we celebrate all these 3 days, and we are starting today. So it's something very special for SSCC, which is Sai Spiritual Community Center, to host this event. And I feel that it's our fortune to be able to host this event along with Dr. Sunder Iyer and the family together. So just let me tell you one thing first. You probably, if you have noticed the invitations, invites, you probably have read that he is the founder of KYG, that is Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam. That is a 501c non-profit organization, which is currently online program, but to teach spirituality through yoga and different ways. So I don't want to tell too much about it, because I think I will not do justice about it. I want you to hear from Dr. Sunder Iyer itself. To start with, of course, he is an alumni of Satya Sai Institute, that is founded by Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba himself. So from there I will start. And he had been practicing yoga since he was 10 years old. So since then, we just had a little talk, and he was saying that how he had a chance of learning from different yoga masters. So it's just amazing to hear all those stories. I'm sure we are going to hear more and more these 3 days. And I would like to say a few things, maybe most of you know, but just wanted to still share those things. See, he spent over 15 years at the ashram of Sri Satya Sai Baba. During that time, he had an opportunity to learn philosophy of yoga from our teacher, Divine Master, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Not only learning from him, but he is one of the students that received, he's the only student, not one of the students, he's the only student who received gold medal for yoga from divine teacher. So that's the greatest thing, greatest honor that he had regarding yoga. And during that time, while he was there, not only just learning, but he also has been teaching those days to the teachers and his teachers and students as well. And while he was there, he has done his master's and PhD in banking and finance. What a different contrast subjects, but I think he probably can connect very well with all of these. And then afterwards, he also has done MD program in alternative medicine, Ayurveda and all that. So those are few things I would say that, which everybody, if you read his blog or if you go to his website, you will see these things. But more than that, how he has passionate about yoga, passionate about spirituality, not just learning, but sharing that with all of us, with everyone, so that we learn, and through that we bring our lives to the fullest, so that we experience all that. So that is his passion. With that, he left everything, his job and everything, just dedicated to teach everyone. So that is what Dr. Sunder Iyer is. And along with him, his wife, she is sharing her life and dedicated her life to support him in every way. So it's the couple that I admire, and we are going to learn a lot from them this weekend. So I am so much honored to introduce them here. And one thing I would like to say is about our Sai Spiritual Community Center. As I said, this is like our first event, yoga event to community we are offering. And this Sai Spiritual Community Center has been started as it is like an abode of love. We want to extend community service as we grow in spirituality. So that is our goal. So we all have inherent values, the spirituality within us, just to draw them out, just to help everybody to reach that stage. That's what Baba is here for us, and that's what we are trying to do. So that is SSCC, Sai Spiritual Community Center. And we would like you to invite for a few more great events are coming along. Next week, actually, we have official inauguration of this place, and you are all welcome to that. And Professor Anil Kumar from India, he is going to do the inauguration, and so we invite all of you to be there. And after that, we are also starting during the summer Sai tutoring program. Along with that, also teaching students, local students, SAT and ACT prep and all that, math tutoring. So some of the volunteers are ready to help the community here. So that is going on. And then we also have end of the month, July, during the 30th July, we have health fair coming. So for the people who needed the help in any way, or so many of our fellow brothers in this community center or doctors, they are willing to help. So please come and participate and take advantage of it and volunteer. You are all welcome for all these. So, and we are collaborating with KYG, which is Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam. So it is our honor to be able to collaborate with them. So it's not just this event. We are hoping we will have more events coming along. So in future, so we would like everybody to enjoy all the events as in future coming along. Not just, again, as I said, it is just a beginning. That's what I would like to say. So thanks again for coming this evening. I hope you all enjoy. Let us have our brother, Sai brother, Dr. Sunder Iyer, to take the podium.
Thank you, Salukya. Good evening, sisters and brothers. It's indeed an honor to be here in Chicago, where Swami Vivekananda came here and he addressed the audience as brothers and sisters of America. Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam is a mouthful. The word Kaivalya comes from the Sanskrit word Kevala. Kevala means only one. Kaivalya is the experience of oneness. Why oneness? When there's so much to enjoy in life and so many people to meet and so many places to see and so much food to eat and so many things to buy, what is this idea of oneness? Where did that drop from? That has been the core philosophy of yoga. That has been the core philosophy of what in Sanskrit, there is really no English equivalent. So in the next couple of days, I'll be throwing a lot of Sanskrit words at you. The two words are Sanatana Dharma, which simply means, loosely translated, as a way of life that teaches you eternal living. That way of life was not a religion, was not that dogmatic. It was open to everyone to find their own path. Everyone's path was unique and respected. So the core of that philosophy was that there is only one consciousness, which manifests itself as the many. Even in quantum physics today, in that search for the God particle, they are venturing into that part of matter where they cannot find anything more other than they have to stumble into consciousness. They are wrestling with that because you cannot contain consciousness in a laboratory. From objective reality, they are stepping into what science calls it as subjective reality. Right? And that seems to be the only way open to them. Still exploring, they're still fighting, and that's part of growth. I think that resistance makes knowledge real and authentic. However, with the other side, where the subjective reality, where people's experience matter, right? We know the sun doesn't rise. We know the sun doesn't really set. But what is your experience and my experience? What is the real experience? We say, come down to reality. Hey, the sun is rising. Sun is not rising. Sun is exactly where he is. We are going around the sun, correct? But the reality is different from perception. And it's the same here. Our reality means a lot to us because that is who we are. If we can identify ourselves with a much larger self, then life becomes more empowered, more enriched. So the idea of oneness was not introduced as a dogma or as a religion, because that was not the aim and the purpose. The purpose of introducing the idea, the way it evolved, was part of the human evolution. Humans kept evolving. I think we have taken a step back, maybe taken a breather and decided to enjoy this planet a little more. But I do believe that a few thousand years ago, we had gone further than where we are today. We had understood spirit. We had understood the holistic approach of mind, body, and spirit. We connected to the 5 elements. We respected nature. We began to read from nature, right? That's why even today you have scriptures, yogic scriptures, that are dating thousands of years ago. Nobody can tell exactly when it was written. But then there are scriptures where they are actually talking about Saturn being the furthest in this system, Jupiter being the largest planet. The size of Jupiter is mentioned. The size of Saturn is mentioned. The diameter of Saturn is mentioned. They talk about Saturn being like as light as air. Now, all of this coincides with what NASA is trying to find. And if there's some discrepancy, my belief is someday NASA will get it right. Because without any instruments, if they were able to do that they had another way to understand the universe. They had another way to understand the purpose of life. They had another path. Is that path closed? What was that path? We really don't know. But it really beats me as to how else could they have understood so much about the universe, the earth being round, the earth going around this. So everything is documented, written, and classified, right? So all this stems from that idea that the universe does not exist outside of me. It actually exists within me. So in order to understand Saturn, I don't have to travel thousands of miles. I don't need to spend billions of dollars and most expensive telescope. I need to go figure out the Saturn energy in me, and I'll be able to connect, know that that is an extension of who I am. There was a very interesting anecdote that I want to share. We were sitting at the feet of Baba, young boys in our 20s, and my friend and I, we were pressing his feet. That's a tradition in India. We sit at the Guru's feet, we press his feet, we offer. It's a very holy and sacred tradition. I just relish that idea of it. It's very humbling. It's where you sit with an empty mind. You empty yourself. You say, all right, what have you got to teach me? And so the body language of sitting at somebody's feet, listening, is an idea of surrendering. So when I say sitting at the feet, I'm just moving a little closer to my mother-in-law. Am I going to get into trouble? No, thank you. So we were sitting at his feet, and my friend, he coughed a couple of times. And so Baba looked at him and said, why are you coughing? Are you not well? Are you sick? He felt a little embarrassed. He said, no. I'm okay. Baba said, playfully, of course, and there's a very powerful lesson here, so bear with me. He playfully said, oh, just tell the cough to go away. It'll go away. And both of us just smiled, like, duh, yeah, right. We spent our youth, I wish I could go back in time. We all do that. We all, hindsight's 20/20. So when I think of how foolish I was sitting at the feet of an enlightened master and missing all those brilliant gems, but I'm grateful that memory has been kind to me, and I've been holding some of these beautiful anecdotes that really touched me and is instrumental in shaping our lives today. So, and our philosophy. And this is one of those I'll never forget. And we just looked at him and smiled. He saw the look on our face, disbelief. He said, yeah, if I tell my cold to go away, it goes away. And then the boy said, of course you can do it. Why? Oh, because you have God in you, you have divinity in you. And what about you? He asked. We just smiled. He said, what, aren't you God? We just looked at him blankly. He said, what is the difference between you and me? Tell me, what is the difference? So here we are sitting at his feet, and here is the Guru, for whom thousands of people come to see him every day. Thousands, literally. His everyday visitors, those days, I'm talking of the early 80s, even then they had at least 7,000 or 8,000 people. I'm sorry, 7,000 or 8,000 people on any given day. And so he asks us, what is the difference between you and me? And we just looked at him. He said, have you 2 eyes? Look at me. How many eyes do I have? 4? No, 2. How many hands do you have? 2. How many hands do I have? 2. How many feet? 2. Walking, talking, reading, writing. You do it, I do it. What's the difference? Chappandi, he said in Telugu. Like, tell me, what's the difference? And for a moment there, looking into his eyes and he looking straight into our eyes, at that moment we couldn't tell the difference. He just gave us a few seconds there to pause. And we were looking at him, not knowing what to say, and the mind was silent. And then he said, but there is a difference. There is a difference. So he didn't let us celebrate it too long, There is a difference. And then he said, the difference is here, pointing to his eyes. The difference is here. And we wondered what that meant. He said, the difference is in perception. The difference is in the way we look at things. And then he made this beautiful statement. He asked us, so you tell me, when you think of yourself, Don't you think of yourself as a small atom in this whole wide universe? How big is this universe? Infinite universe. Who are you? You're just a small microscopic atom in this universe. Am I right? And we nodded eagerly. That's a perfect, that's a home, right? That's where we can go to and we feel completely at peace. Wait till he bursts this bubble, right? So that's what you think of yourself. When I close my eyes, I see the universe as a small speck in me. That is the difference. So change your perception. You think you are a small speck in this universe. I think the universe, I know, he said, not think, I know the universe is a speck in me. The universe is a speck in me. Imagine how, when we think of that for a moment, we're like, oh my gosh, when will I ever get that? But that's in our imagination, that somehow it's so difficult, so obscure. But if you truly begin to understand that everything that happens is an extension of me, when I go to sleep, where is the universe? What happens? You got a $3,000 bed or a $5,000 bed, maybe expensive. I can't think beyond that. I lose my sleep. But when you're fast asleep, does it really matter? Do you know which sheet is on your body or not? You don't, right? In that sleep, even the I in you doesn't exist. So where did the universe go? And when you wake up, where does it come from? It's almost as if I absorb the whole thing into me. I go into sleep. When I wake up, my eyes open and I project the universe back where I started. And life goes on. And it was that idea that was capitalized, experimented. And there are so many scriptures and Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Someday we'll take it up for study, but that is a synopsis of a much greater and many other greater scriptures that were written. And so he kind of made a summary and brought out 192 mystical verses. But the gist of that is everything is in here. So the idea of Kaivalya is finding a way back home, our true home. Yoga is the path, a path that takes you there. Like Salukya rightly said in the beginning, yoga is not only the way we think of it today. We say yoga, you Google yoga, then you get goat yoga, you get Hatha Yoga, you get Raja Yoga, you get beer yoga, you get all kinds of yoga, right? So you have a list of yogas that are coming up. But all of that is, even Hatha Yoga, yoga exercises, asanas, they are very powerful and very fundamental, but they form a small portion of this journey. This journey of yoga is about bringing in, harnessing the energy of the body, the energy of the breath, the mental energies of the mind, the emotions, and harnessing them, channelizing them, to directing them within. Why? Because there is that higher self waiting to be awakened. The right way to get into that is to harness these energies, which are otherwise so scattered, we are so distracted that we have no time to go within. Nobody taught us, ask yourself, who are you? We were rather told, if somebody asks you, you tell, you're Sundar. This is when you should smile. This is how you should sit. This is how you should sleep. Don't laugh here. Laugh at this one. And don't cry. Sit straight. Sit down. And so we were told, we absorbed them. And so now I say, I am Sundar. But am I really? Who am I? Did I get a chance to think, ponder? Was I encouraged to find out, why am I even here in this life? What is the purpose of my existence? So the yogis discovered that because they had a chance to go within. They didn't have bills to pay. They didn't dream of homes to buy so that they went into the forest because that was all there was, just greenery and Mother Nature. And they figured there must be some connection. And they discovered treasures upon treasures upon treasures within them. And they gave it to their students, and the students passed it on. And today we have a wealth of knowledge. And that is why yoga is never, it's taken many forms, like music has taken so many forms, but music never dies. Music cannot die. So has rhythm. Rhythm can never die because that's the core of the universe. And yoga is one such energy that can never die. It will take many forms, but it will never lose its essence. And that is that path. That is why we have many paths in yoga. You have the yoga of bhakti, where emotions are channelized, where you use the connection through emotions. You can connect. But they're not watertight compartments. They're all enmeshed, just like emotions. Where does emotions end? Somebody asks me always, I get this question, is your yoga physical yoga or is it spiritual yoga? And I tell them, tell me, where does the mind start and where does the body end? Where does the spirit start? Where does the mind end? There are no defined boundaries that I can say this is physical yoga, I don't do spiritual yoga. When you're working with your body, you're working with the mind and with the spirit because they're not separate. We are so deeply interconnected. So the emotion, the bhakti was actually a yoga which eventually brings everything together. Yoga means union, idea of oneness. Yoga is based on the idea that eventually everything has to come into being one. Oneness in thought, word, and deed makes us an integral person, correct? We talk of integrity. It's a core value of yoga. In other words, when I believe something, let me put it into my practice. And therefore, my body begins to reflect my mind. So the Hatha Yoga practice is based on that. Pranayama is based on that. They understood the breath is the bridge that's connecting the body and the mind. And therefore, let's build this bridge and connect into that mind. So from the gross, I can see my body, I can feel my body, correct? From here, the journey takes me into the breath. I cannot see the breath, but I can hear it, I can feel it. So a little more subtler. And then the mind, I cannot see it, I cannot feel it, I cannot hear it, but I know it exists. I simply know, but there's no senses there. How do I connect from this to that? The breath is the bridge. So how can I harness the energy of the body and the breath to connect there? And once I go there, then I'm able to control the mind in the lake of that placid mind, in the lake of that quiet mind. There is a chance I get a glimpse, a reflection, like the little Simba in the Lion King, was it? Lion King. The little Simba sees his reflection and he realizes, oh my gosh, I am my father. That's what we hear when we read the Bible. I and my father are one. The essence is that. You go through any religion, any teaching, when you go to the core, that's what it is. And so yoga is that path. For me, it made sense. As a youngster, I said, okay, I like exercise, I'll just start with that. I don't know where it will lead me. And then the door opened, one after the other. There are 1,000 more doors in my journey as I see it. And I don't get discouraged because there's no goal to reach. In that every door opens, there is so much of enrichment and so much of empowerment and so much of enlightenment that floods my consciousness that I'm just enjoying where I am at that moment. Only to find, my gosh, there's one more door. Imagine so much more will be there. And I allow myself to be guided. The journey of yoga is very real. It gives you the faith that the spirit is real. It's not a matter of belief. And we can tap into it, not when we are sick, not when we are too old. One of the greatest yogis, Adi Shankara, would say, when are you going to do that? When are you old? When your body is weak and tired, at that time you're going to practice meditation? That's not going to work. Start now, he says. Yavad bitto parjana shaktaha. There's a beautiful quote where he sings that, So, spirit is real. Then we can tap into that. Gurukulam, because these are the names, Kaivalya, Yoga, and Gurukulam. Gurukulam is a school. School where you learn with the teacher. You live with the teacher. You learn with the teacher. You use the teacher as a role model. He or she, doesn't matter. Guru ma, if it's a guru, or guru. You teach them, you treat them as parents. In other words, just like parents teach you, you allow them to teach. And that Gurukulam is where everyone begins to learn and discover. Why did I choose that name? That's how Maya and I were raised. She spent 13 years, I spent 15 years in an ashram. Not when we were 60 or 70, we are getting there now, but when she went in her 8th grade, and I was there when I was 16 years, 17 years old. Throughout our youth, we lived this life with the Guru. Living is the best way of transforming. You can read, you can discuss, you can attend seminars, workshops, retreats, but once you begin to imbibe that into your practice, even one baby step at a time, then transformation begins to happen, right? And so we learned it. I know the energy and the power of that. We're going to have a very interesting, a lot of information packed in 2 days, kind of a workshop, retreat. And you will notice that we can talk about good food, healthy food, we can talk about exercises and all of that. But if there was a place where you could actually come and try that out and stay there and see for yourself the change that actually occurs, then that's far more powerful, right? So the Gurukulam is that. Is the idea. I've rolled it into the universe. Both, we are all just instruments. I'll just let the universe flow and work through me. I said, all right, this is your idea. Okay, here, take it. This is Yoga Gurukulam, where we revive the traditional yoga. We revive back to that idea of understanding yoga is a path to self-actualization. It is to realize who I really am. I have this multi-million-dollar check with me. What am I living and craving and wanting this and wanting that? Why am I satisfying myself or seeking more and more of what the senses can give me? They can only give me a little bit of information. What they're giving me, whether it is the taste of the tongue that tastes good food and I'm like, wow, I want that every time I look, or the ears is listen to good music, or the fingers that can touch silk and satin and say, ooh, this is so awesome, and bed and softness and all of that. All of those are like trailers to a movie. If you see a trailer and it gives you a glimpse of what the movie is like, what would you do logically? You would plan to go for the movie, right? If it had excited you and said, hey, I really want to see this. This is something, there is something caught my attention. You would go and see the movie. But what if I tell you, no, let's go back to the trailer. The trailer was good. No, let's go back to the trailer. And then I keep going back to the trailer again and again and again and again. Every time I come out, not satisfied. But in order to seek somehow, no, there must be something in the trailer, I go back to the trailer. Now you'll think, are you crazy, Sundar? Listen, here, take the $10 and go watch the movie. Otherwise, stop being my friend. I'm tired of you taking me to the same trailer. But we do that with our senses. The senses give us a small trailer of the bliss that the spirit can open up. It's all of these senses. You have what is called the highs, all of them, right? On a very hot afternoon, very hungry, and you sip lemon, or you take taste an ice cream or something like that, and you get a little high. You're like, oh my God, this is divine, correct? That high comes when you listen to beautiful music. There are times where you'll say, oh, I don't know, I was lost. There are times, the eyes, when you see a sunset or sunrise, or when you're driving past and you see a rainbow or a dark sky with a silver lightning at the back. You're like, wow, what a beautiful thing on autumn evenings. We have driven on our autumn evenings, right? How beautiful is the sunset with those brilliant colors flashing out of the trees. You get a high. So almost every sense organ can give you that high, but that's it. If that high is so good and it lasts only a few seconds, isn't it logical to ask, where does that come from? It's drawing from some energy. Why can't I go beyond that and hold on to that high? So yoga gives that path, an understanding that these are only temporary pleasures to open up to a much more lasting, long-lasting. That's what they call it, bliss, ananda, experiencing of ananda. So it's not a fantasy. It is a real experience. Once you begin to taste that, then you won't go to that trailer again anymore, because you have seen the real movie. Oh, I'm out of the camera. Sorry. I was blessed, truly blessed, to be born in India for this reason alone, because everybody in India gets a taste of yoga and Bharatanatyam, right? Two of the girls get a taste of the dances, almost everyone, and the boys get a taste of yoga. And somehow I caught on to it right at a very young age. I caught on to it. I liked it. It was off and on from the age of 10, and studies come in, right? So dad says, enough of all that. Go back to study. You've got the 10th grade exams coming. So off and on. But I had a chance to learn yoga, more like acrobatics those days. But young children, as a young child, I liked it. I used to climb a rope and do asanas on the rope and all of that. And it was when I was 17, when I had a chance to perform it in front of Baba, I learned that he has not seen anybody doing yoga on a rope. So I said, let's do that. So we put a structure up in our dorm, and I climbed up 25, 30 feet, and then there's a technique that they teach you in some parts of India, in Maharashtra. It's called Rassi Malkham. So I climbed up and I did some asanas, and Baba was so thrilled. Oh, he's doing lotus pose up there, and he blessed me. I came down, he said, oh, we must teach all the young boys. And that's it. It was my chance to, for him to have that personal communication. He saw something unique in me, and I thought that was a great opportunity for me. As a youngster, a pat in the back and encouragement means a lot, right? And getting it from Baba, it was like, wow, really? Okay, I want to practice this more. I had a great privilege of growing up with wonderful yogis. I was just telling Tay and Salokya here that Swami Shivananda was was related to us through marriage, in the sense of my grandmother's sister's co-brother or something. Somehow they call it brother-in-law. He was that. Swami Shivananda was that. So his disciples, when they came out to spread the message of Divine Life Society, one of them, Swami Sachidananda, would come to Mumbai, and he would stay at my grandmother's and grandfather's place, because they are sannyasis, right? They are monks. They don't have any place to go, so they know somebody tells them, go stay there. I was 2 or 3 years old, because by the time it was 1966, Swami Sachidananda came to the US. So I was born in 61, so I had that 4 or 5 years. Every time he would come, he would visit my grandmother, and when he comes and our family would gather, they would say that you will just be staring at his beard and you'll go to sleep. I slept on his lap, and so for me, it's those blessings count. I think everything matters. At that age, that's why my favorite color is still the orange. There is something that I cannot put my finger to. It is from there that yoga of journey started, up to the point where in the ashram, there was this wonderful lady, Indira Devi, who lived up to 102 years. She changed her name to Indira Devi. I still don't know what her European name was. So she was in India. She learned from Yogi Krishnamacharya, who again lived 104, 105 years, teachers of BK's Iyengar, the famous Iyengar yoga that you hear, or the teacher of Pattabi Joyce, from whom you hear Ashtanga Yoga, and so on. So these are the modern teachers who learned from Krishnamacharya. And he was the one who was one of the first to teach a European lady. And Indira Devi was one of them who learned. So she would come to Baba's ashram, and Baba would say, oh, these fellows are all just eating and sleeping. Teach them something. So we had the privilege of learning from her. So the beauty of being in an ashram, the beauty of living a lifestyle, and you get to meet and learn, is priceless. In 2011, therefore, when Baba passed away, I knew that I'm just whiling away time if I don't follow my passion. Even though it was not very late, I was 50 years, and I said, all right, I'm going to celebrate my 50th year. Call it middle-age crisis, I don't know. So I'm going to celebrate my 50th year by giving up my job. And this is the best friend I have had. She said, yeah, great, do it. And I said, what happens if something goes wrong? She said, why not? I mean, if you have to start life all over again, we will. What are you waiting for? If this is what you really want to do, just go for it. And so 10 years later, here I am. And not a moment have I regretted this path that I've taken. The path of spreading, sharing my experiences, the passion and the riches that it's been providing. Baba has always taught me one thing. He said, practice before you preach. You are the role model of what you're talking. And that's all it has to be. And so when I was young, like Salika said, he was pushing me into doing PhD in banking and finance, and I wanted to do meditation and yoga. And I told him, I want to do research in yoga, I want to teach yoga. And he very, very jokingly said, oh, if you teach now, nobody's going to listen. You just stick to doing that with the boys. You want to do real yoga teaching, you do when you're 50 years. That time, if you're practicing, people will hear, listen. So he gave me an idea that, let's see, let time prove, right? What are we waiting for? First practice it. Make it a part of your life. Then when you teach, people will say, you know what? Yeah, he makes sense, right? It was 2011 when he passed away and I turned 50. I knew the time was right. I never looked back. And the joy only keeps growing more and more and more to meet such wonderful souls like you, fellow pilgrims, fellow yogis, and yoginis. We get to learn from each other. That's what life is all about. I'm no big guru trying to tell you what to do or what not to do. I'm here just to share my experience, my path, my joy, and what has worked for us as a couple when we talk about food and lifestyle, what has worked for me when I do exercises, and how, even though I come from a family which is standard high blood pressure, diabetes, and all of that. I lost my parents for all of these. At the age of 61, I don't have any of those, touch wood, even today. And I owe it to that yogic lifestyle. It does work. Trust me, it does work. It's not genes. You're not limited to your genes and hereditary. You can really rewrite your genes. You can redesign your body. The body is under your control. You are not under your body's control. If you begin to respect this as a temple and begin to treat it as a temple just as much as you would keep this so sacred, so important, and so clean, if we can say, I'm going to be very conscious of what goes in through here, I'm going to be very mindful of what goes in through here, very mindful of what goes in through here, because it's all defiling my temple or building my temple, then the body gives back. The energy within truly, truly begins to give back blessings which it seems never ending in its capacity to come. A sense of deep contentment and joy, and above all, a security, a sense of knowing that there is something in me that is so eternal. I have no fear. That feeling comes. Initially it comes and goes, and then a part of it begins to stay. And so it is that you will see in the next 2 days. That is a passion that I carry with me every day. And we're going to have Hatha Yoga practices tomorrow, and on Sunday we have thrown a 108 Sun Salutation challenge. You're welcome to participate. You don't have to do 108. You can do 20, take a break, or you can do 30, take a break, and do 40, take a break, and then come join back. You're welcome. Or you can sit back and watch. I don't know. I committed. Now I have to perform. So that's one part of yoga, where there will be what was the traditional practice of yoga? Why are we doing asanas? In this, especially today, it's more relevant. Why? Because today we are training our brain to go so fast. We call it context switching, and we'll talk about it when we come to Hatha Yoga workshop tomorrow. Our lifestyle has become so fast. We don't like to watch black and white TVs anymore, films anymore, right? Somebody puts on a 1960 movie, we'll say, oh, come on, this is crazy. Why? Because our brain is now addicted to a very different pattern of behavior, speed. So it's more relevant today. We have to learn to slow down. We don't learn to slow down. We think it's a crime, a blasphemy to slow down. But slowing down, going within, we don't get a chance to go do that. So yoga gives you that opportunity to slow down, go within, hold that stillness, and experience that stillness in different poses. Create stress. Don't wait for stress to come from outside. You create it. Stretch the body. Let there be discomfort. At that moment of discomfort, rather than resisting and coming out of the asana, stay, breathe. Embrace that discomfort. Allow the body to relax, stretch. A lot more thing happens than flexibility. Flexibility is a byproduct that just comes by the way. But a lot more things happen at a deeper level. The cell intelligence awakens. The body begins to understand, wait a minute, I can handle stress. Then the mind begins to relax. And under extreme stresses also, you'll be like, I don't know, yeah, I know it's a little difficult. Somebody will say, what? You will not feel the stress because you're teaching at that moment every day how to handle stress, that is one part. Then in that stillness, when you go slow down and we go into stillness, you begin to get a glimpse of that spirit within. That is something I cannot teach. It's like you can take the horse to the water so that hoping it will drink. Your job is to take the horse to the water. That's it. So bring yourself to the yoga mat, drop yourself on the yoga mat and say, today I'm going to do this. That's it. Take this horse to the water and keep doing the asanas. One day the horse will say, oh, I'm supposed to drink water. Then you got it. It's like training a puppy, right? But once the body begins to open up and the prana really begins to move, it's a completely different experience. It's intoxicating, it's blissful, it's a high of its own. We don't need drugs and pills to get that high. It's a fantastic high and it sustains the whole day. So that is this path we are going to talk about. And without taking too much time, I want to therefore introduce people you're going to see in this weekend. And of course, I have to start with my Ardhangi. Ardhangi means my better half. It actually means just half, but I'm just adding the word better. To be, I need my food. I don't want to sleep on the couch. Baba got us, performed our wedding. He was so kind enough. He performed our wedding. Both of us were not into rituals then, and we didn't want this grand wedding, correct? Or am I speaking just for myself?
No, you're right.
She's the best thing that has ever happened to me in my life, honestly.
It's mutual.
Thank you, Maya. If KYG is in functioning today, and especially during COVID, when we had to go virtual, we had opened up our home as a Gurukulam to start off those baby steps, but then COVID came, and so we haven't reopened our home, but we're continuing online. She had a full-time job. She still has. She would finish her job and then jump right from that into this without even blinking an eyelid. I've never seen a frown on her face, like, oh, not today. She's like, okay, what are your plans? Let's do this. So she's begun to believe in this idea and enriching. So Maya, share your journey at KYG and yoga.
It's a beautiful journey, right? From the day that Baba got us married, it has been a beautiful journey, and KYG, I think, is just, icing on the cake of the whole thing, if I can say that. And it's so lovely to be here today with all of you, and so many of you, we know your names from your little comments when you're watching the streams, and now we're actually seeing you in person. So thanks to KYG for bringing us all together at this occasion, and SSCC, of course. Thank you all so much for hosting this event. Our lives are definitely different ever since we've started KYG, and yoga has always been Sundar's passion since the time we met. And
she was my first girl student.
Yeah. And he just made it so easy. He was like, oh, you like to do yoga? And we had done a little bit in college. And I liked whatever little bit I had learned at Baba's college. And I was like, yes, I love it, yes. So he said, okay, we'll start with something very simple. I'm just going to teach you one pose. It'll be very easy. And he made me do a handstand. As simple as that.
That's what newly married couple do, right? No? I don't know.
So that's where the journey began, and I guess it's
But I was
just
helping
been fun.
you, correct?
You were helping me, yes, of course. And I was like, no, don't leave me, I'm going to fall. But it was fun. And it still is, 30 years later. We're still having fun with this. And I think for me, KYG is, I don't, like he said, yes, I have my full-time job, but then I really look forward to the evening sessions that we have, and setting up the altar and I didn't know that I would, I think, enjoy cooking so much. I didn't know cooking when we got married, and thanks to my mom and my mother-in-law, you know, they taught me and I learned, and then of course, both of us being together, we started exploring healthy options and healthy foods, and he was always into raw foods and fruits and salads, and then I, you know, learned to like it, and I love it now. So it's just fun, it's exciting, and I think it's become a way of life for us. We don't even think, I think, anymore about it. It's like, it's not a routine in that sense, you know, it's just daily life, it's just how it is. So thank you for that gift.
You're most welcome. So everything that goes on technically, if for those of you who see the online program, we have different cameras where she's sitting somewhere else, but with the joystick we learned. In the last 2-3 years, there was a lot of learning.
He did most of the learning, and then he just taught it to me, and I quickly learned it.
So it's a fun combination between two people. I learned to program beats of tabla and all of that into the keyboard, while she. The beauty is, because yoga is about singing, it's about moving, it's about dancing, it's about all of that. And Baba trained us in all aspects. He said, "You want to dance? Okay, when are you guys going to dance? What are you going to dance?" And so we had that. So I understand and appreciate every part of spirituality. There's no one path versus the other. They all integrate into that. So there is a time to dance, of course. There is time to be still. There's a time to breathe, and there's a time to be mindful about eating. So we try and bring all of that into right now it's virtual, and if the universe wills it, it'll provide a space. If not, we'll make every home a Gurukulam. Maybe it's a better plan. We don't know what the universe is. Our job is to just keep working and enjoying every day as it presents itself to us. So Maya, I'm now officially thanking her. Of course, there is no such thing as thank you, but she is the Shakti. She is the Shakti of KYG. And Shakti is Shakti, mother-in-law. You know, when the in-laws are there, you have to be nice to them. So Maya's parents are more friends to me than in-laws. That's how it has been. And here is a very talented woman, very highly educated. She has a PhD in education. I'm coming here. She has a PhD in education. She has established many schools. Her joy is in teaching the little ones from kindergarten and so on. And so she has spent her entire life teaching. An amazing singer, so you're going to see and get a flavor of that in our Hatha Yoga workshop tomorrow. And of course, as Maya said, an amazing cook as well. So Amma, if you can share your when we told them about KYG, we inaugurating KYG, and even before that, when we told them I've given up my job, you know what, generally they would have said, "What? Wait, Maya, I need to talk to you separately." They were the first who said, "We are so proud of you, Sundar. We're so proud of you." And that I was really taken by surprise, because I was preparing myself how to tell them, But they turned around and said, "We are so proud that you're doing this. We are with you. Anything from us, let us know. We are so proud." And I never expected that, so I'm so grateful for that. So that was June 9th, I guess, right?
Yes. June 9th. First, let me wish each and everyone here. I see some familiar faces and some of them who've now brought back memories to me of long-lost friendships. Thank you so much. We are indeed privileged to be here post-COVID. It was almost a time when we thought we will never travel again out of India. So I must thank Swami for bringing us all here today and to share in this beautiful moment with Sundar and Maya, talking about KYG and the hosts, Anika and Suraj and Ravi and everybody here of SSCC who've made this special occasion possible. I want to start with a thank you because I believe a Reiki master I learned from taught me that the attitude of gratitude brings you altitude. And so, altitude is what we are all going to learn from Sundar about. How do we get ourselves to realize who we are? Having said that, I want to go back to that date, June 9th. it does ring a very strong bell today.
Which is when we actually, 2018 is when I formally started KYG.
Yeah.
Even though I had given up my job, it took me 7 years to actually form something because I was searching for what to do. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Please
I just want
go
to give the
ahead.
context.
Yeah.
I thought of it because I had a PhD in banking and finance, so offering something free just didn't click with me. I didn't understand what to do, though I wanted to bring in his philosophy. Baba said, never make spirituality a business. But I was like, how? How can I survive? What can I do? And so it took me 5 years of making peace with myself. And it has to be authentic, right? I can't force myself to do something. And so by the time it happened, it was 2018, June 9th. So
1976, Swami Satya Sai Baba called us in for an interview at Prashanti Nilayam. Those of you who are familiar with this will know. For those who don't, it's like a personal audience with the Guru for the people who go to the ashram. We were picked up. My husband has been a pilot in the Indian Air Force, a fighter pilot, and Swami has a particular liking for people who, are proud citizens of this world. He called us in, and 1976 was the first time we met Swami that close. And one of the things at the end of that interview was, oh, Air Force life, all very good, very good, very good. Sometimes a little artificial, but June 9th, everything will change. All for the good, all for the good, all for the good. So we registered this June 9th as going to be a miracle day in our lives. And it was sometime in April we had gone there. And we said, June 9th is around the corner. And Baba has prophesied something great for us. And it did happen at that time. My husband was contemplating taking early retirement from the Air Force and joining a civil airline and moving to Bombay and getting a steady life, because in the Air Force we moved every year and a half. Maya, in fact, was the one who calculated once and told me, Amma, I just realized that in 25 years of your married life, you have moved 23 homes. And I said, really? I did? So, anyway, so we thought, okay, life is going to change for us on June 9th. Many June 9ths came and went. Nothing changed. Neither did we. Life just went on. But every June 9th, we would kind of look at the calendar and say, is something going to happen tomorrow? Is a miracle going to happen? Nothing happened from 1976. So many June 9ths. And then one day, we get this call, and Sundar and Maya say, we've decided this is what we are doing, and guess what? Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam will be born on June 9th of 2018. And the moment he said the word June 9th, both of us said, oh my goodness. This was planned by him years and years and years before they even knew each other or met. And that is the divine orchestration of Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam. So it is his plan, and we are all but instruments in that plan to probably help and in some ways support this great, grand, divine plan the Master has already planned for humanity. A Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam is not restricted to only those who want to learn yoga. To me, I'm 73. And if I am standing here in front of you today and able to communicate about what yoga can do, here is my guru, my yoga guru. So I have never referred to him as son-in-law. Swami taught us very beautifully. Why did that word in-law ever happen? Say in love. So say daughter-in-love and you'll get back only love. Say son-in-love. Here is our son-in-love gifted to us by Bhagwan Baba. And he is my yoga guru. And I must tell you, June 9th, that is what was planned by Bhagwan. Along with that, COVID isolated us in Kanchipuram, which is a tiny little town close to Chennai, close to Madras, 75 kilometers away. Life has taken us there. I would say Swami has taken us there. It's called a Moksha Dwara, which means a doorway to liberation out of the 7 in India. I don't know if we thought of all of that. I think life just took us there. And it happened that Sundar came just before COVID. And he took us on this divine trip to Kashi, which you have all witnessed in the videos. You've seen the Banaras trip. And we've been to Banaras many times before that because we were posted in Allahabad and almost every month we were going to Kashi. But this trip meant something different for us. It was a trip with a yogi, and it was a trip to watch him immerse himself in that great spirit of Shiva, the oneness. And that came home to us as being the way one should take a pilgrimage or even absorb what is being offered to you. We came back, and by the time he had reached the US, lockdown started happening. But he had left us with the best gift. Both my husband and I thank him for today, openly. He taught us the kriyas, the breathing kriyas. He said, both of you start doing this, and it was not yet COVID. So I believe personally that Sundar is guided. And so we are living with somebody who is definitely being guided to offer the best for those seekers who want something more of life than just being the ordinary life that we all lead. And so he taught us these kriyas. And when my husband and I decided that every morning we will do that kriya, whatever happens, and it's simple breathing techniques he taught us, which we have been following religiously. And COVID helped us do that because there was nothing else to do. And so we did that. And the benefit has been, which I will share with you all very confidently, before coming to the US this time, we had to have our medical checkups done for the insurance and all that. So his cardiologist, he's 81, my husband. So the cardiologist cum diabetologist to whom we go, examined him, certified him fit to travel, and said, ma'am, I want to ask you, other than walking upstairs on the terrace, 2 floors climbing up and walking on the terrace, is sir doing something else, any other form of exercise? And I said, no, not that I know of. He said, his lungs are so clear. His lungs are doing so well. And I said, Sundar, thank you. I am singing better. I have more breathing. I can stay longer on the notes. I'm able to experience a power in my lungs which I did not have earlier. And if this can be done by 20 minutes every morning that you give to yourself, and learnt definitely from the person who knows how to teach you. I do know that there are a lot of videos and a lot of, available material for us. But I personally feel learning from somebody who is practicing it and who's able to teach it to you the way Sundar does is what has benefited us. This is something I would like to.
So we'll be doing these kriyas tomorrow as part of the chair yoga. So if you have, elderly people who think yoga is about pretzel poses and going upside down, tell them not to worry. But even sitting in the chair, you can have exactly the same kriyas that you can do sitting on a lotus pose. So these are very good kriyas. You won't find them, they're not commonly known in the internet. It's passed on only from teacher to student. So I will definitely share that tomorrow. Sorry, go ahead.
And I'd like to conclude with a little message which I feel very motivated to share today. My uncle, Dr. T.V. Kumar, my father's younger brother, lived in Canada, he's a veterinarian, and he offered 6 months of the winters of Canada to his guru, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba, and lived in Prashanti Nilayam and worked with the Gokulam there where the cows are taken care of. And apparently he worked on a lot of scientific work that he did there, and the cow started yielding more milk, and he was very happy about that. But Dr. T.V. Kumar once shared with me a few years back. He said, a group that went in for interview with Baba came out, and they asked me, oh, Kumar, we missed you today at the interview. And I said, why? What happened? Did Swami ask for me? And they said, well, Swami spoke and he said, somebody in the interview had apparently asked Swami about Messengers of Sai. We know that the Messengers of Sai is an organization where all these ex-students and alumni of the Lord go out as messengers. And Swami apparently concluded that interview by sharing with them, yes, there will be messengers, and he did mention, and Sunder Iyer is one of my messengers. I'm sharing this with you today.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
I just felt that it's the right time.
Thank you.
I just felt like sharing it with you today, right? And so and for me, why it came today is, he's being blessed to speak. He's speaking not only about his guru, his teacher, his master. He's bringing home a lot of very valuable messages of the Lord, which probably don't exist in even the books that we read, because they are personal experiences of a young man who spent 2 years, 24 months of his life in the room with Baba and served him as a chela, a student, and the amount of learning that I can imagine what that is. And so those kind of sharings will probably not be available to us in books, and that I value, Sundar. You've shared a lot of instances with us and incidents, but every time I find, he speaks about his life with Baba almost every time he talks about Swami in a retreat. But every time I find there's something new to take home. And that is amazing for me, and that is probably the master guiding you even now and speaking to your higher self, which you experience. I bow down to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly, of course, my father-in-law. His passion has been flying. And he was the Indian Air Force, a fighter pilot. And he forgo a lot of promotions. He said, no, I just don't want to fly. I'm not interested in desk jobs. And that passion, I always believe when you're passionate about something, it finds its way into divinity. Because that's what it's all about, right? We find our purpose, whatever that purpose is, a uniqueness that we're bringing to life, and we work towards bringing that uniqueness out, not copy somebody else. So he did that. For me, the lesson is, towards the end of his flying career, the highlights were he got a chance to actually fly Sai Baba more than 3 times, I think. So 4 times. That's a big privilege. How many people can say, I flew Baba and be the commander of the flight? So can you share 1 or 2 experiences? I like the one where you talk about how but the first time when the airport was inaugurated, Puttaparthi was a village which was not even on the map of India. And then it grew to a point where it had its own airport. And so he was the one who first flew that airport. It gives us a glimpse of the childishness of an enlightened master. You know, they don't walk around saying, you have to praise me, don't come near me. They're like, oh, plane, oh, let's go for a ride. They're like 5-year-old. So I love that experience of his. I want to, please bear with me, and I request you to share that, because nothing like listening from a person who actually saw that. You know, like when you say how he came to the plane, please go ahead.
Saram. Yes, from the Air Force, I joined the civil aviation and joined a small airline called Vayudut. I was based in Chennai, in Madras, and my boss was a Christian officer, and we suddenly got a message saying that we had to take, I was flying an aircraft called the Dornier 228, which was a 20-seater small plane. And we got a message from Delhi saying that we are to go and land in a place called Puttaparthi. It was a small runway of just about 4,000 odd feet. We had to land and give a certificate of fitness whether we can do commercial operations there. So my boss, Brian DeMargary, and I took off. I was the operations manager. We took off, and our aim was to just land there, turn around, take off and come back, and give a report whether the runway is fit to be used for commercial, say, aircraft to land. As soon as we landed there, I saw a red Mercedes car and Swami standing outside. So I told Brian, hey, we can't go just like that. He's waiting for us. We have to go there. So we turned the aircraft around, went and parked near the thing on the tarmac, and switched off, and he started coming towards us. So I quickly told Brian, I'm going to go and pay my respects. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know about you. I'm going to kick off my shoes and go and fall at his feet. So I did exactly that, and he welcomed me, and there were about 15, 16 of his people who were involved in constructing the runway. He asked a few questions to Brian, and while asking, he kept walking towards the aircraft. And next thing, he got in, and he told us, all of us, come on, get in. And then he taps me, take off. Take off. I said, Brian, he's saying take off. He said, take off and do what?
So that was not on the agenda.
That is not at all on the agenda. We were not prepared for it. Not even authorized. So anyway, we closed the door, we took off, and I told Brian, you fly. He said, what do I do? I said, see, you go around, and there is the darshan line. You'll see thousands of people sitting there waiting for Swami to come and give darshan. You just fly low over them. I'll go and explain things to Swami. I went and sat down at his knee, and I was just saying, he said, explain, tell everybody what is happening. I explained everything to them, and we flew for about 15-20 minutes, nice and low over the Puttaparthi ashram, and then came back, and he said, okay, let's go.
Didn't you take permission to go down?
Nothing, no permission there. We were not in contact with anyone there. So there was not even a flying control there.
Okay.
So we just landed, he blessed us, and before that he called all of us, and he did this, and I thought he'll give me vibhuti. First thing he gave Brian, with a non-believer. He said, what do I do with it? I said, just put it in your mouth or pack it. And then we came back. That was my first experience flying with Swami. After that, I've had 3 more experiences where once in Bangalore, he was not in a fit condition to travel by road. I was now working for the TVS Motor Company, where my boss, Venu Srinivasan, was a great devotee of Swami. Also, he was a passionate flyer, though he had no license. But he used to just come into the aircraft and he used to say, come on, I'll fly. And he used to say. So he went and offered Swami. He said, Swami, I know you want to go back to Puttaparthi. You cannot go by road. I have my own plane. Can I take you? So Swami thought for a moment and he said, okay. Then he called me. He said, I want you to arrange a small kind of ladder, because he cannot climb stairs. Make a ladder so that as soon as he gets out from the car, he will come onto a small platform. Once he gets onto the platform, he should be able to hold the 2 railings, and you will punch a button. When you punch that button, this whole platform will come up with him right up to the level of the door, and he will just walk in. So we made 2 platforms like that, one for Puttaparthi, one in Chennai, and one for Bangalore. 3 actually. So we made that, and we took him to Puttaparthi from Bangalore. He was very, very happy. That was my second experience. Then in Chennai, the Sai organization had organized a 14-day, what was that? Ati Rudra Homam. Sai Baba was expected to come and bless that. And for that, we didn't have a small aircraft, so we had to hire an airline. One of the local private airlines, we chartered that one aircraft. I went along with the crew and brought him to Chennai. So he stayed with us for 10 days, and I dropped him back at the same. I think these were my 4 experiences never to be forgotten.
Thank you.
Yes. So when we were flying to Puttaparthi, back from Chennai after the Rati Rudra Homam. Now he had actually started a project. The whole of Chennai was, starved of water. So he had started a project, I'm forgetting the name of the Rayalaseema project, where there was a huge big lake. He converted that into a big reservoir and supplied water to the entire Chennai.
No, that was Pundi Reservoir.
Pundi Reservoir. And he supplied water to the entire Chennai. So when we were going back from Chennai to drop him at Puttaparthi, he called me and said, explain to everyone and fly over that. So when I called the control tower and asked them permission to descend, they asked me for what? I said, we want to descend over this reservoir and show the passengers this project which Sai Baba has presented Chennai. He said, why do you want to? I said, Sai Baba wants me to descend. I said, okay. They gave me permission. We descended to 1,000 feet, flew over the entire project and showed everybody, climbed back up to 15,000 feet and came and landed in Puttaparthi. That was my experience with Swami.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, there are so many stories.
I just wanted to...
sorry, go ahead.
Just wanted to add about this Kaivalya. We were visiting Varanasi, going for darshan every day, going into the river and this, that and the other. One day we were just sitting in the hotel room and suddenly Sundar looked at me and said, Appa, I got it. I said, what? I got the name for our new project. I said, what? Kaivalya. So that is where he got it, in Varanasi.
Thank you. There are so many stories his family has connecting to Sai Baba and Shirdi Baba and so on. His great-granduncle has seen Shirdi Baba and so on. So it's an amazing family that I've been part of. Very, very, very honored to be part of that family. I have learned so much music from my mother-in-law and her mother, who has composed more than, I think, 300 bhajans. Maybe most of the bhajans that you all sing today was composed by her, and she sang in Baba's presence for 30, 40 years. It's a journey of never-ending learning. And that's been the journey of yoga, and that will be the journey of yoga. Before we conclude the session with a couple of bhajans, I just want to add that self-enlightenment and self-actualization, the way I've learned it so far, it could change, but what I see now, it's not a static goal to be reached. Don't wait for it to present itself, because then waiting becomes a reality. And that someday it will come will be always a someday. The journey itself is the goal. Because the self is infinite in its capacity, when can you say, when will that one day come and you'll say, I have understood myself? Then you have limited it with your understanding at that moment, whatever that understanding would be. But if you say the self is infinite, the idea is the journey never ends. The expansion never ends. The ability to absorb never ends. So who you are will constantly keep expanding. The I, the definition of I in me will constantly expand. And that is the empowerment. That is the end. So being in the journey is the goal. Unlike what we learn is you start, you have to reach somewhere. Here there is no reaching. Being in the path is being enlightened. And that's why yoga is very street smart. It's very down to earth. It's very authentic. It really gives you a taste of everything that you read about in the scriptures, whether it is the Bible or the Quran or the Gita. It gives you that taste, a chance to experience. And I believe the purpose of life is to find out who we are. That's the game of consciousness. Just to become, the one becomes the many becomes the one. You inhale and you exhale. Everything in this world is that inhalation, exhalation, the ebb and flow of the waves. How is that different from your breathing in and out? The rotation of the planets around the sun is a rhythm. How is that rhythm different from the rhythm of your pulse? The rising and setting of the sun, the birth and death of stars and galaxies. Everything seems to be a rhythm of coming into existence, seemingly going out of existence. And so is our breath. And in that, we are connected. You and I are all connected in that one rhythm, and that rhythm is called the dance of Shiva. That is the rhythm of the atoms and the molecules. That is the rhythm of energy turning into matter, matter going into energy, Shiva and Shakti. So there is no difference in that movement, in the rhythm, and in the stillness. Yoga gives you a taste of that experience. And how beautiful would that be? So please do come. This is a free workshop. There is absolutely no obligation to pay anything. Everything is part as a family. If anything, you should and must perhaps complain and say we want more. And that is what will make me happy, and I'm sure Maya too, and all of us who are organizing here. I do really want, I kept this for the last, and the best is this place, a divine place, run by a group of selfless individuals who just purchased this, built this place only with one purpose. We'll use it as a community where we can explore more spiritual paths, where people can get together and spend their weekends or days or many occasions just to come back together as a family, experience love, togetherness, oneness, and explore deeper concepts of life, things that really matter to us. How many people think of that? There is really no other agenda. Some of them are here in this group, and they know it, and others know that. I'm not saying this to please them, because you will not find their names anywhere on the plaque here. You will not find names of who donated how much. They just secretly do this because that is the essence of his teachings. His teaching was give, just focus on giving. If I were to take one message home today from Baba's life, is give. Just focus on giving. The universe will provide more for you to give. If I wait to accumulate in order to give later, then my accumulation, I'll be only waiting to accumulate, and I'll keep accumulating. I'll forget to give because I never taught myself to give. I only taught myself to accumulate. But rather than waiting to accumulate, you say, let me start giving. Whatever I have, let me give. Then the universe will say, aha, now the river flows. So Baba would say, be like a river. Just keep flowing, and more water will just... That is the beauty of St. Francis when he says, I am an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, I will sow love. That's all he wanted. Just be an instrument. Let the divinity flow. And in that we connect. When there is no agenda, I don't have an agenda in bringing you here. Your agenda, the only thing is learning and sharing and experiencing love and togetherness and oneness, which we miss so much in this world. So I want to tell some of you who have walked in for the first time, here is a family for you all. Here is a home away from home. It's a beautiful center. The energy is wonderful. There are so many projects they have lined up. They haven't even officially inaugurated, and they allowed me to hold this because International Yoga Day is just it came at the right time. It said, let's celebrate it. So that is the selflessness of the individuals who run here. And so I'm, on behalf of KYG, I express a heartfelt gratitude to Salokya and Suraj and Anika and Dr. Jivanandam and Sheila and Rambala and Padmini. I can't even say all the names, but all of you all, thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear brothers and sisters, for offering this kind of a place to Chicago, something so selfless, which is so very rare in today's world. Before I end, I would urge you all to take a sheet which has got the detailed programs. So please do come, and there is going to be a chair yoga tomorrow where we'll sit on the chair and learn. It's not just for older people. All of y'all can learn. And I will teach certain things that you can follow on YouTube channel, which we already have. So you know that, okay, I have to go look for this playlist. I can follow that. The kriyas that she talked about, we can teach. And then there will be a beginner's yoga. And then, of course, we have the Hatha Yoga classes. We're also doing workshops on mudras for meditation. Why are we doing these mudras? What is the connection between finger and breath? And you will appreciate how yoga understands body language and how they're capitalized simple but very profound truths. And how we can just take that and bring that into practice for self-empowerment. Especially mudras for meditation. I see children here. Come tomorrow. We'll make it interesting for you all. And there's so much you can learn. And we can teach our children those kind of things. They can truly affect neural paths in the brain. We're also going to talk later in the afternoon about Nada Yoga, the importance of sound. So all the setup is not just to sing a couple of bhajans or kirtans, we'll do that as well, but more importantly, why is that chanting of the name? What is the secret of that power in the mantra? How do we harness that energy of sound? And so we're going to explore all of that. There's a lot of exciting things. Hopefully, we'll be able to serve you and enrich your life a little more. And in that enrichment, we selfishly can claim we have enriched ourselves as well. So I'll bring this session, and of course there is a delightful dinner cooked by the experts here. So please stay back and have food as well. We'll end it with 2 bhajans. Bhajans is we sing a line and people follow. Most of you are familiar, for those of you who are not. It's simply, again, using sound, energy, melody, rhythm, and things like that to heighten the consciousness. You don't have to understand the words. It really doesn't matter. The first bhajan I'm going to sing is an offering in praise of the Guru. We always begin every program as an offering. So it's my way of, and our way of offering our salutations to this divine Guru who has sanctified our lives, gave Maya and me a path to follow, a passion to hold on to, showed me personally the path of yoga is for me. And so I want to offer a bhajan, and then she's going to sing in her amazing voice. She's going to sing us a bhajan where we talk about all teachers across all faith. Yesu means Christ, Buddha, Zoroaster from Sikhism, Jainism, Guru Nanak, Allah, all of them taught it's the same principle, that the one infinite, you are the Ram and you are the Rahim. And so she's going to, her mother's composition, both of these are her mother's compositions. So we'll offer that and we'll bring the satsang to an end. And during dinner, we'll hang around, so please feel free to ask us if you have any questions with regard to the workshop itself. And I hope to see you all, more of you all, in the next couple of days. Thank you. So we officially begin the workshop now. That was just the warm-up. Everything in yoga, in the practice of spirituality that we go within, is about the sound, which we start with the Om. Om is simply a sound that's like a buzzer that says, stop thinking, open your heart to experience. So we start with 3 Oms, and then I'll offer this bhajan, and so will Mangala. You're welcome to follow. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोपाल बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोपाल बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोपाल बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोपाल बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, शिरडी साई बोलो, शिव गुरु नाम बोलो,
शिरडी साई बोलो,
शिव गुरु नाम बोलो, शिरडी साई बोलो, शिव गुरु नाम बोलो, शिरडी साई बोलो, शिव गुरु नाम बोलो, सत्य साई बोलो, सतगुरु नाम बोलो, सत्य साई बोलो, सतगुरु नाम बोलो, सत्य साई बोलो, सतगुरु नाम बोलो,
सत्य साई बोलो,
सतगुरु नाम बोलो, साई राम, 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 प्रेम साई बोलो, पर ब्रह्मा बोलो, 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 परमात्मा बोलो, परमात्मा बोलो,
बाबा बोलो, परमात्मा बोलो,
वर्ती बाबा बोलो, परमात्मा बोलो,
बाबा बोलो,
परमात्मा बोलो, साई राम, 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 गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोपाल बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोपाल बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो,
शिरडी साई बोलो, शिव गुरु नाम बोलो,
शिरडी साई बोलो, शिव गुरु नाम बोलो,
सत्य साई बोलो, सतगुरु नाम बोलो,
सत्य साई बोलो, सतगुरु नाम बोलो,
साई राम, साई राम, साई राम, साई राम, प्रेम साई बोलो, पर ब्रह्मा बोलो, प्रेम साई बोलो, पर ब्रह्मा बोलो, परति बाबा बोलो, परमात्मा बोलो, परति बाबा बोलो, परमात्मा बोलो, साई राम, 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 गोविंद बोलो, गुरु साई बोलो।
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम। तुम हो श्याम राम रहीम,
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 राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
तुम हो श्याम राम रहीम,
तुम हो श्याम राम रहीम।
अल्लाह यीशु बुद्ध महावीर,
अल्लाह यीशु बुद्ध महावीर,
अल्लाह यीशु बुद्ध महावीर,
अल्लाह यीशु बुद्ध महावीर,
नानक साईं ज़ोराष्ट्र भी हो,
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 सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई नारायण,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई नारायण,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई शंकर,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई शंकर,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
तुम हो श्याम राम रहीम,
तुम हो श्याम राम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम।
अल्लाह यीशु बुद्ध महावीर,
यीशु बुद्ध महावीर,
नानक साईं ज़ोराष्ट्र भी हो,
नानक साईं ज़ोराष्ट्र भी हो,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई नारायण,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई नारायण,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई शंकर,
सर्वधर्म प्रिय साई शंकर,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
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 बोलो राम रहीम श्याम रहीम,
राम रहीम श्याम रहीम। तुम हो श्याम राम
रहीम।
श्याम